distance learners, I hope you guys are doing well. So I want to talk about what you guys are going to be doing today and tomorrow. So you guys are going to be writing a narrative sequel to our story, Kin. This is a refresher. We've written a narrative already, but this is going to be kind of like a shortened version of that. I want you to start thinking about what is narrative writing. So hopefully some things pop into your head from earlier in the beginning of the year. However, I do want to provide a refresher in case you've forgotten, just due to time. So simply put, a narrative is a kind of writing that tells a story. It includes things like the exposition, which is the beginning of the story, which includes things like the setting and the characters. It's got the rising action, potentially where the conflict is introduced, a climax, the most exciting or adventurous or part of the story where the character makes a big decision, a falling action where things start to get better and fixed, and then the resolution, which is the ending of the story. Some things that you need to include when writing a narrative are things like dialogue, setting, points of view, descriptive language, and transition words. And I want to show you guys some things that will be helpful for you while you're writing your narrative. So this right here is a resource that will be helpful, full of examples of things related to the context and setting, the point of view, the narrator and characters, dialogue, descriptions and descriptive language, transition words, precise words and phrases, and sensory language in a conclusion. So I'm going to post this on Canvas so you can look it over. And you want to make sure that you include all of these things because this is going to be what makes your narrative a great narrative and a great story. Don't worry, I'll post that here in just a second. The next thing I want you guys to start thinking about, though, is why do we tell these stories? So stories are something that humans have told each other for all of history. So why do we tell stories? How are stories important to humanity? How has storytelling impacted history and human cultures? These are things that I think we don't necessarily think about often. However, they're very important things to think about because they can directly drive the types of stories that we write and the way we communicate with the people around us. All right, and then the next thing I want you to start thinking about is not just why we tell stories, but why do we write stories as well? So what's the purpose of things like narrative writing? I think there are different levels and reasons and many things why people do it, but I've broken it down into 3 simple levels so you can start thinking about it. Level 1, the most simple reason, is to entertain the reader, or to entertain the writer in some cases. Level 2, you might start introducing a moral conflict or an idea to the reader. So you might make the reader think, ooh, is that right? Or maybe they should have responded differently in that situation. And then in level 3, you cause the reader to start to reflect on their own life or the moral issues that they are battling with and contemplating in their own life, or moral issues that are introduced in the story. You cause the reader to start thinking back on those stories. Maybe it's their past, maybe it's an experience they've had, lots of different ways you can reflect. All right, and then the prompt, what you guys are going to be writing your narratives on today is on the screen. So at the end of Kin, the Antelou gives the boy everything that belongs to him. And because they built a family connection, they became each other's kin. Whatchamacallit. But anyways, so what you're going to do is you're going to write an adventure that the boy Kim, who's the name of the character in the story, goes on with that travel voucher, meaning that ability to travel off worlds into different planets. It's with this like ticket/airplane coupon type thing. So I want you to write in a story about an adventure the boy goes on traveling into space after the end of Kin. Be sure to include an established context or setting, multiple points of views, a narrator and characters, dialogue, descriptions and sensory details, and a conclusion as well. All right, so I'll post that resource on Canvas so you can access it, and your prompt is also listed on the assignment sheet. Today, your rough draft is going to be due. Tomorrow, your final draft will be due, and I have an announcement. So this is very exciting to me. The author of Kin, the story we've been reading, Bruce McAllister, the real life author has agreed to read your guys' stories. So whatever you guys come up with, I'll be sending him some of your guys' best work. So do your best, put your heart into this, really try, because the author, the guy who actually wrote this story, said he wants to read what you guys write for your sequels to his story. So I think it's like really exciting. So keep that in mind as you're writing. Do your best work because he's going to read it. So if you have any questions, feel free to let me know.